14 years ago, a homeless man bought a little girl a sandwich. He thought it was just a small act of kindness. He never asked her name. But 14 years later, a black luxury car stopped beside him, and the woman who stepped out changed his life forever. The rain was falling hard that evening in New York City. Cold wind rushed between the tall buildings as people hurried down the sidewalks. Near a subway entrance, a thin man sat quietly on the pavement. His name was Michael. His jacket was torn, and his shoes were soaked from the rain. A small cardboard sign rested beside him. "Anything helps. God bless." Most people walked past him without looking. Some glanced at him for a second and quickly looked away. Michael was used to it. When you live on the streets long enough, you become invisible. He lowered his head and pulled his jacket tighter. Just then, he noticed a little girl standing a few feet away from him. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old. Her hair was messy, and she looked scared. Michael looked around. No parents, no one searching for her. Just the girl standing there, staring at the sandwich in Michael's hand. Michael had bought that sandwich with the only $5 he had received all day. It was supposed to be his dinner. But the way the little girl looked at the sandwich, it was clear she hadn't eaten. Michael slowly held the sandwich toward her. "Hey kid, are you hungry?" The girl hesitated. Then she nodded. Michael gave her the sandwich. She grabbed it with both hands and started eating quickly. Too quickly, like someone who hadn't eaten in a long time. Michael watched quietly. "Slow down," he said gently. "You'll choke." The girl slowed a little but kept eating. After a minute, she looked up at him. "Thank you." Michael smiled. "What's your name?" "Emily." "Where are your parents, Emily?" She looked down. "My mom is at work." "Where do you live?" Emily pointed to an old apartment building across the street. Michael understood. He had seen many families in that building, struggling to survive. Emily finished the sandwich and wiped her mouth. Then she suddenly hugged Michael. It was quick, unexpected, but warm. "No one ever shares their food with me," she whispered. Michael didn't know what to say. He gently patted her head. "Take care of your mom, okay?" Emily nodded. Then she ran across the street and disappeared into the building. Michael sat there quietly. He didn't think much of it. To him, it was just a sandwich. Just a small moment in a long, difficult life. Years passed. Michael's life never really improved. He moved from one street corner to another, from one shelter to another. Winters became harder, summers became longer. Sometimes he wondered if anyone in the world even remembered him. One cold afternoon, 14 years later, Michael sat outside a small coffee shop. His beard had turned gray. His hands shook slightly from the cold. People walked past him just like always. Then suddenly, a black luxury car stopped at the curb. It was the kind of car that made people turn their heads. The door opened. A young woman stepped out. She looked confident, successful, and well-dressed. She looked around carefully. Then her eyes landed on Michael. For a moment, she froze. Tears immediately filled her eyes. She slowly walked toward him. Michael looked confused. "Can I help you?" The woman knelt down in front of him. Her voice trembled. "You already did." Michael frowned. "I'm sorry?" She smiled through her tears. "You bought me a sandwich once." His mind searched through years of memories. A sandwich? 14 years ago. Near the subway. I was a little girl. Then suddenly, Michael remembered. The hungry kid. The woman nodded. "Emily." Michael's eyes widened. "You?" She laughed softly. "Yes, me." Michael shook his head in disbelief. "You look different." Emily smiled. "Life changed." Michael looked down at his hands. Mine didn't. Emily gently held his hand. "You changed my life that day." Michael looked confused. "It was just a sandwich." Emily shook her head. "No. That day I hadn't eaten in 2 days. My mom was working 3 jobs. I thought no one in the world cared. Her voice broke slightly. But you gave me your food. Michael stayed silent. Emily continued. That moment stayed in my heart. It taught me that kindness exists. Michael looked at her carefully. So, what happened to you? Emily smiled. I studied hard. I got a scholarship. I became a doctor. Michael's eyes widened again. A doctor? Emily nodded proudly. I work at a children's hospital 3 blocks from here. Michael laughed softly in disbelief. All that, from a sandwich? Emily squeezed his hand. From hope. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Emily stood up. Wait here. She walked back to the car. A few seconds later, she returned with a small envelope. She handed it to Michael. What's this? Open it. Michael slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a key. He looked confused. A key? Emily smiled warmly. It's the key to a small apartment. Your apartment. Michael stared at her. You're joking. Emily shook her head. I bought it last month. Michael's hands started shaking. Why would you do this for me? Emily's eyes filled with tears again. Because 14 years ago, you gave everything you had to a hungry child. She took a deep breath. And today, I'm just giving a little of it back. Michael couldn't speak. For the first time in many years, he cried. Not from pain, not from hunger, but from kindness. Emily hugged him tightly. Come on, she said gently. Let's go home. And for the first time in 14 years, Michael stood up from the sidewalk and walked toward a new life. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness doesn't disappear. It waits, it grows, and one day, it comes back to change a life. S.P.